Good morning to everyone. So in previous class we started about frequency compensation techniques. Okay, we discussed about various frequency compensation techniques. We discussed in last class about external frequency compensation techniques, that is dominant pole compensation technique and pole zero compensation technique. Okay, and we are about to start internal compensation technique. So what is the main purpose or what is the main objective of frequency compensation means? So in our discussion of AC response, okay, AC response characteristics in the domain of frequency response. So here we already discussed about the AC frequency response. Okay, so this is the discussion of AC frequency response. If we see the discussion clearly, we are talking about the frequency response curve. The characteristic is drawn with respect to gain margin and with respect to time. And next we are discussing about the phase margin with respect to time. That means due to the internal capacitance, see here in this particular equivalent circuit, so due to this capacitance effect, so there is a cause of corner frequency or breakover frequency, additional frequency, that is nothing but F1. F1 is nothing but crossover frequency or the breakover frequency, corner frequency. One second. So due to this capacitance, so there is a stray effect and that causes the corner frequency or breakover frequency. So because of the effect of the corner frequency or breakover frequency, what actually happens means if we observe the frequency response, there is to be before the corner frequency or breakover frequency, the frequency response or the gain magnitude is almost constant. After the occurrence of the corner frequency, there is a drop with respect to frequency response, which is around 3 decibel. So if we clearly see in our frequency gain response, we clearly see with respect to open loop gain with respect to frequency, open loop gain with respect to frequency curve, we can clearly say that before that corner frequency before the corner frequency at the time of operating frequency condition, the gain is almost constant. The gain is almost constant. After the occurrence of the corner frequency, the gain magnitude is dropped to 20 decibel, and after occurrence of second corner frequency, it is again dropped to 20 decibel. So after the occurrence of again additional corner frequency, it is again occurred to 60 decibel. 60 decibel. So this is the issue we got. That means here, with respect to the discussion of gain and with respect to time period, that is frequency, there is a drop with respect to the magnitude when there is an occurrence of corner frequency. That means because of the stray capacitance effect. So what we can do here at this condition means, so we are doing a compensation techniques. We are proposing the compensation techniques. So first, this compensation technique is also helped us to improve the stability of the system. That means we are proposing the compensation techniques, various compensation techniques. So we will see the first compensation technique. What we discussed is about external compensation technique. So external compensation, name in the self represents, we are compensating the frequency in an external manner. That means, so first compensation is dominant pole compensation. Okay, dominant pole compensation. So in the previous AC analysis, what we have seen means we have seen a single RC pair. So if we have three RC pole pairs, three RC pole pairs, there will be existence of three corner frequencies. There will be an existing of three corner frequencies, and this causes a serious and severe problem. So if we see the circuit, external compensation in the sense we are connecting an RC pole pair at the output terminal of the operational amplifier circuit. So this is the input terminal which is connected to the operational amplifier, and this is the output terminal V out. So at the point of the output terminal, we are connecting an RC pole pair, and we are trying to compensate the frequency by adding an additional dominant pole. Okay, by adding an additional dominant pole with respect to the denominator. Okay, additional. So this RC pole pair will add an additional dominant pole. Okay, so this is what actually happening. An additional dominant pole is added with respect to the frequency. An additional dominant pole is added with respect to the frequency curve. So an additional dominant pole will improve the frequency. So how it is improved means, already we had this discussion and we have a clear discussion here. We calculated the gain So we calculated the gain with respect to overall transfer function. Before calculating the gain to the overall transfer function, what we did is we calculated gain for this particular RC pole pair. Okay, and we substituted, that means we added this gain value to this total transfer function of the operational amplifier. That means this gain is nothing but look like an addition to the actual working gain, so that the total performance of the operational amplifier is improved. And so here we can see in the total gain, we can see a dominant pole. We can see a dominant pole in the denominator. We can see a dominant pole in the denominator. Because of this addition of the dominant pole in the denominator, overall gain of the transfer function is getting improved, and the overall gain of the operational amplifier and the frequency is compensated. How means, if we see the roll off rate of gain curve. Okay, so this is the previous thing. This is the uncompensated circuit. This is the uncompensated circuit. See, this is the uncompensated characteristics where before the occurrence of the corner frequency, that means if the operational amplifier is operated in an open loop condition and the gain is represented with respect to AOL, and with respect to the operating frequency condition before the occurrence of the corner frequency, what actually happens means the gain is constant. So later what happened, there used to be a drop in the gain value because of the occurrence of the corner frequency at 20 decibel, and next again it is dropped to an additional 20 decibel, and later it is dropped to again additional 20 decibel, and it is saturated around 60 decibel after F3. So we are compensating by adding a dominant pole. So this is the compensated characteristic of the operational amplifier. The technique we proposed here is dominant pole technique. So we proposed the dominant pole technique. An additional dominant pole is added to the denominator of the operational amplifier. One second. An additional dominant pole is added to the denominator of the transfer function, and overall gain is improved. And this is the compensation technique. Here we can see a particular slope in characteristics, a particular slope in the characteristic, a constant slope in the characteristic. Oh, this is how the frequency response is compensated. That means a dominant frequency condition is existed and the frequency response is compensated. But what actually happens means here, the bandwidth is dropped. Initial bandwidth is BW1. The lateral bandwidth after the occurrence of the dominant frequency condition F suffix D, the bandwidth is dropped to BW2. Okay, so this is the major drawback of dominant pole technique. Okay, dominant pole technique, even though the frequency is compensated, even though we got a particular slope, constant slope in the characteristic, what actually happened means here there is a drop in the bandwidth condition. So this is the major drawback of dominant pole technique. But we have a rather advantages in dominant pole technique. What are the rather advantages means, the system which we proposed with dominant pole technique is having excellent noise immunity. That means it can handle a good noise rejection techniques. And second thing is, by adjusting the dominant frequency FD, F suffix D, the phase margin and the system stability is assured. That means the phase margin is improved and the system stability is if the system stability is occurred at a proper condition. The actual major drawback is the rejection of the bandwidth. Previous bandwidth is very broad, but this is the bandwidth which we occurred with the dominant frequency is very narrow. Okay, so in order to eliminate that, we discussed the second concept, that is pole zero compensation. We proposed a new technique, that is pole zero compensation. What is the proposal of pole zero compensation means? In the concept of pole zero compensation also, we discussed the thing with respect to the pole zero compensation here. So what actually happens means, in pole zero compensation, there is a thing happens here. So the pole zero compensation, in the concept of pole zero compensation, here also we discussed about 3 RC pole pairs. Here also we will go to the discussion of 3 breakover frequencies or 3 corner frequencies. That means what actually happens here means, in the transfer function we are adding a pole and 0. Okay, we are adding a 0 to the numerator and a pole to the denominator. So, and that means here we are compensating the frequency response by adding a pole and a 0. Okay, we're adding a pole and a 0 with respect to numerator and denominator. So how the condition happens means, how can we compensate the network by adding a pole and 0 means a resistance R1 is added at particular output of the operational amplifier next to the series RC pole pair. So whereas R1 is nothing but Z1 impedance and R2 plus JC2 is nothing but Z2 impedance. That means here we are having a discussion of impedances Z1 and Z2. See here very carefully. In this operational amplifier with pole 0 compensation, we are adding Z1 with respect to Z2. Z1 with respect to Z2 and the Z1 with respect to Z2. That means a Z1 with the resistance R1 and Z2 with respect to RC plus JC2 is added with respect to the output of our operational amplifier, such that an additional pole and a 0 is adding to the transfer function. Okay, 0 is added to the high frequency and the pole is added to the low frequency of our operational amplifier. So if we see the transfer function, so before going into the discussion of transfer function, what we do is we will calculate gain for this particular RC pole pair. We will calculate a transfer function and we will formulate a gain value here, and this gain value is added to the overall gain of the operational amplifier transfer function. Okay, so if we see that we represented R1 as Z1 impedance and a series RC network R2 plus JC2 as nothing but Z2 impedance. Okay, so we, as per voltage divider rule, we calculated and we discussed all these things. We calculated the gain value and we added this particular gain value by multiplied with overall gain of the transfer function. So if we see here very carefully, a pole is added to the a pole and 0 is added to the numerator and denominator. A pole is added to the numerator and denominator. So the resistances and capacitance can also be selected at particular breakover frequencies. So after this condition at first corner frequency F0. Okay, so there is an, after the connection of Z1 impedance and Z2 impedance to the output circuit, there is a new corner frequency, that is F0. Okay, previously there is an occurrence of new frequency, that is FD in dominant pole condition. Dominant pole condition lo em jarigindandi, F suffix D anedi add ayindi compensate cheyadaniki. So here we added F0. F0 is nothing but new corner frequency where it is used to get compensated. So this is the uncompensated line we seen up to the corner frequency. Before, this is all operating frequencies. And what actually happens means, so at the operating condition, it is constant. Frequency is constant. After the occurrence of the corner frequency, first corner frequency, second corner frequency, third corner frequency, the response is used to get response is dropped here. The response is dropped here. Okay, so what actually happens means here the response is dropped. Okay, that means in uncompensated system the response is dropped. So here after the compensation, what we did means, so there is an occurrence of new corner frequency F0. So there used to be the voltage, there used to be a frequency compensation, and the characteristic is having a slope structure. This is the slope of the characteristic, which is constant. Previous problem what we got is there is a narrow bandwidth. The bandwidth is very, very limited. But here we can see a broad range of bandwidth which is happened with respect to pole 0 compensation. That means when compared to dominant pole compensation, here in pole 0, the frequency compensated is improved and also the bandwidth is also improved. Okay, this is about the discussion we got up to the instant. So coming into the next discussion, next compensation, that is internal compensation. This is also called as Miller compensation. Internal compensation is also called as Miller compensation. This is the second classification of frequency compensation techniques. Okay, so what is the difference between internal compensation and Miller compensation? Means here the external compensation is proposed with the frequency response of higher bandwidths. At the higher bandwidths, that means the internals are the proposed methods which we used is used for higher bandwidth applications. Okay, so these external compensation techniques cannot be used for lower bandwidth applications. Okay, so in order to apply ourselves into the lower bandwidth applications, even for lower frequency signals, also for lower frequency responses also, we are proposing a new concept, that is internal compensation techniques. So this internal compensation technique can be provided for even the response of the particular operational amplifier is very, very low. That means the internal compensation is applicable for a good low frequency response characteristics. Okay, so how we can see, how we can apply, or how we can analyze the internal compensation circuit, we can see now. And second important discussion means, here there is a difference with respect to construction of in external compensation circuit with the internal compensation circuit. What is the difference means, see here in the previous circuits, in external compensation discussion, we connected the compensation pole pair, we compensated the frequency response with the RC pole pair, which is where we connected a RC pole pair externally at the output condition. That means this comes under external discussion. That means we connected an RC pole pair externally to the operational amplifier. Both in pole zero compensation also we connected externally with respect to dominant pole compensation also. See here in the dominant pole compensation also we constructed all RC pole pair near to the output terminal, which is to the zero, which is RC pole pair is connected to the output terminal, which is connected in an external manner, both in dominant pole compensation and in pole zero compensation. But here what we are doing in internal compensation or in Miller compensation, name it in the sense represents internal compensation. Internal compensation, what we are doing is, see here we are connecting a particular capacitor, a feedback capacitor C suffix F. We are connecting a feedback capacitor, sorry, we are connecting a feedback capacitor C suffix X with respect to the negative feedback, in parallel to the negative feedback. That means in order to compensate the frequency response, we are connecting the feedback, we are connecting a capacitor in parallel to the feedback resistor internally, not in a particular output manner. We are connecting internally. Okay, we are connecting internally. So if we go to the discussion of Miller if we go to the discussion of internal compensation, that is Miller compensation in brief. So let us explain the circuit first. Internal compensation, this is also called as Miller compensation. One second. Internal compensation, where we are proposing the internal compensation for bandwidths, low bandwidths when compared to this external compensation circuits. That means we are adding an additional capacitor. We are adding additional capacitor. A simple capacitor is used. That means we do not use any large operating frequencies or broad bandwidth response in this application of instrumentation of internal compensation or Miller compensation. That means we can apply this particular Miller compensation with respect to low frequency ranges. That means what we can do with the Miller compensation technique, how can we analyze this particular Miller compensation technique means, see here in this particular Miller compensation technique, so we are connecting, this is the operational amplifier, inverting terminal, non-inverting terminal. Inverter terminal is connected with respect to R2 resistance with respect to input, and next non-inverting terminal is grounded, and next feedback resistance, negative feedback is connected with respect to R1, and CF is nothing but feedback capacitance is connected here, and with respect to output terminal we are connecting an RC pole pair R3, and CL is nothing but load capacitance. CL is nothing but load capacitance, and next that is connected to the ground terminal of our inverting non-inverting amplifier, and at V out we can see the output terminal. Okay, so here in the Miller compensation, So Miller compensation is nothing but it's a loop compensation technique where a simple capacitance is used with and with a simple compensation used with which is in the application of with or without load resistance, that is called as null resistance. This means the capacitor is connected in the feedback loop. The capacitor is connected in the feedback loop. This R3, see in the circuit R3 is nothing but here R3 is nothing but load isolation resistor or null resistor. A capacitor is connected in the feedback loop to compensate the operational frequency response. Capacitance is connected here to compensate the operational frequency response. We can connect a capacitor in parallel to the feedback resistance. We connected the capacitor in parallel to the feedback resistance. That means the main purpose of connecting the capacitor in parallel to the feedback resistor is to reduce operational frequency. That means here we are compensating operational frequency response. Okay, we can connect the capacitor in parallel to the feedback resistor. Okay, so if we see here, so the circuit is nothing but a simple negative feedback amplifier. The circuit is a simple negative feedback amplifier. The circuit is having a simple inverting circuit. This is a simple inverting circuit with a feedback resistance R1, which is said to be an inverting circuit. So we are saying that is an inverting circuit. That means we are giving the input to the inverting terminal. See, we are giving the input to the inverting terminal, and the output and our operational amplifier negative terminal inverting. We are giving the input to the inverting terminal. That means we are giving our input to the negative terminal of the operational amplifier. Okay, the gain value is always depending upon the resistances R1 and R2. That means the gain value depends upon feedback resistance and input resistance. Okay, the gain value is always depending upon feedback resistance R1 with respect to internal input resistance R2. Okay, as we said, the circuit is a simple negative feedback amplifier. We are connecting a feedback to the negative terminal. See here, negative terminal. The gain value is inverting gain, and the gain value is depending upon R1 and R2. Okay, the CF is the feedback capacitor which is used for compensation technique. So main purpose, the main objective of internal compensation or Miller compensation is to compensate the frequency response. So here we are using CF for compensating the feedback. So the CF capacitor is connected for compensating the CF feedback is connected for compensating the to compensate the feedback. So we are connecting the feedback with respect to negative terminal. The gain is also inverting again. So the capacitance which is connected across the feedback is used for compensation. So this is called as internal compensation or Miller compensation. That means here we are connecting the feedback. We are compensating the frequency response by connecting a feedback terminal in parallel to the frequency response, such that the gain value of the amplifier won't be disturbed, but the frequency response is compensated with respect to the operation of C suffix F. Okay, the frequency response. So if we connect the particular frequency response, so we connect the capacitance C suffix F. Okay, the value will depend upon the type of amplification stage. That means the type of amplification stage, the value of CF depends upon the stages or the number of stages the amplification process is going. So if we see the frequency response, the frequency response with respect to gain, the frequency response with the, on x-axis we can see the frequency response, and with respect to the voltage gain on y-axis, the ratio of voltage gain with respect to the frequency is constant here. There is a frequency response of Miller compensation where we can see with the help of our internal compensation circuit, the feedback capacitor CF is connected in parallel to the feedback, and due to this capacitance effect, due to the charging and discharging of the capacitance effect, the compensation is done in an internal manner. The compensation is done in an internal manner, and what actually happened here? The compensation is done in an internal manner, and with respect to the capacitor, see in the frequency response. See in the frequency response what happened in the frequency response. See, there used to be voltage with respect to frequency, there is constant, and later we can see the occurrence of constant characteristic. The occurrence of constant characteristic. Okay, constant characteristic is occurred. A constant characteristic is occurred with respect to the frequency and voltage gain application, with respect to the frequency and voltage gain application, and the behavior of the frequency response is constant. That means the feedback capacitor which we connected in parallel to the feedback resistance compensated the frequency response, and the behavior of the slope is constant. The behavior of slope is constant. The capacitor and resistor depends upon the amplification stages of the capacitive load. Depending upon the capacitive load, there used to be several amplification stages, and the frequency response characteristic. Here we can see a clear and accurate slope where the compensation is done. Okay, so this is about Miller compensation or internal compensation. Okay, so coming into the next discussion, coming into the next discussion, that is package types. Coming into the next discussion is package types. Okay, so the package types. So if we see the syllabus up to now, what we discussed means, up to now we discussed about the definition of operational amplifier. We discussed about characteristics of operational amplifier. That means we discussed about characteristics for ideal operational amplifier or practical operational amplifier. We defined the integrated circuit, and we explained the integrated circuit two types: monolithic circuits and hybrid circuits. And next explain with classification of monolithic circuits and hybrid circuits. Okay, so we have to discuss these package types and temperature ranges and the power supplies. We discussed about operational amplifier block diagram. Okay, input stage 1 contains dual input balanced output differential amplifier. Input stage 2 contains dual input unbalanced output unbalanced output differential amplifier, followed by a level shifter, followed by an output stage that is complementary symmetry push pull amplifier. We discussed the specifications of ideal and practical operational amplifier. We analyzed DC characteristics. How can we compensate them. And next we discussed about IC 741 operational amplifier. We discussed about operational amplifier parameters and measurement. We discussed about input offset currents, output offset currents, input offset voltage, output offset voltage. We discussed about common mode rejection ratio. We discussed about power supply rejection ratio. We discussed about drift, that is nothing but temperature effect or temperature drift. And next we explained frequency response compensation, that is internal compensation and external compensation. The only thing we remained is package types, temperature ranges and power supplies. Okay, so now we are going to discuss that. What are the various package types? We explained with the integrated circuit IC 741 8-pin type. That is a basic package. What is a package, or what is meant by a package means? So here we can see. So this is about the discussion of IC 741. So what is a package? What is the purpose of package? Means package types means the type of pin diagrams depends upon the nature of the pin diagram, which is called as a package. That means another name for pin pattern is called package, depending upon the arrangement of pin. Okay, so another name for pin pattern is nothing but package. So how we explain the pin pattern can be represented in a particular package here. If we see, this is our 8-pin integrated circuit IC 741 8-pin mini DLP dual line package. This is one assembly, one line, and this is one line. Dual line package. We know that pin 2 and pin 3 is nothing but inverting and non-inverting terminals. Okay, and V minus and V plus, 4th pin and 7th pin is nothing but biased voltages. Okay, biased voltages. 7 and 4 is nothing but biased voltages, and sixth pin is nothing but where we will take the output voltage V0, and fifth pin and first pin is nothing but where we can see fifth pin and first pin where we can see the offset null voltages, where we can apply offset voltages or offset null voltages. Okay, eighth pin is nothing but not connecting pin. We don't use an eighth connect, we don't use practically in an eighth connecting pin, but in order to say the IC 741 in the integrated circuit 741 8 pin dual line package is constructed in a symmetry manner. That's why we used an 8th pin. This is the basic structure we already discussed about in the previous class. So with respect to this application, we are explaining remaining packages. Okay, see the second package. This is 10 pin flat pack. 10 pins. See here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we have 5 at the left, and here we have 5 at the right. Okay, okay. See with respect to the input terminals. So pin 3 and pin 4. See, pin 3 and pin 4 are nothing but inverting and non-inverting input terminals. Okay, pin 3 and pin 4 are nothing but inverting and non-inverting input terminals. And pin 5 and pin 8. See, pin 5 and pin 8 is nothing but biased voltages terminals, biased voltage terminals. Pin 5 and pin 8. Pin 5 and pin 8 is nothing but biased voltage terminals. Okay, so seventh pin is nothing but output voltage pin. Here at the seventh pin we can see the output voltage. Okay, sixth pin and second pin is our offset nulls. Here we can apply offset voltage or we can apply offset currents and all. Okay, seventh pin and second pin and sixth pin is nothing but offset null pins. And pin 1, okay, pin 10 and pin 9 are not non-connecting pins, NC pins. NC in the sense not connecting pins are null connection. Mostly in technical manufacturing patterns, in technical manufacturing manner, we call that as a null pins. We call them as null pins. Okay, not connected pins or null connection pins. Same if we compare 8 pin package and 10 pin package. Okay, so here the total operating pins are 7. There are 7 operating pins and 1 pin is null connection pin or not connected pin. In 10 pin flat pack, we'll compare with the 8 pin mini dual pack to 10 pin flat pack. Here also we use 7 pins for connection of the operational amplifier, and here we are using 3 pins. 3 pins are NC pins, null connection or not connected pins. Okay, so this is a third classification of packages. Third classification of package. This is 8 pin metal can. This is 8 pin metal can. So if we compare the 8 pin mini dual line package with respect to 8 pin metal can package, what is the difference means here? So here also we use 8 pins. See, second pin and third pin is for inverting and non-inverting terminals. Here also second pin and third pin is for inverting and non-inverting terminals. So fourth pin and seventh pin is for biased voltages. Here also like fourth pin and seventh pin is for biased voltages. Okay, so the fifth pin and first pin is for offset null voltages or for offset null currents, right? Offset null. So similarly, first pin and fifth pin is offset null. Here also first pin and fifth pin is for offset null. Okay, so eighth pin is null connected pin or not connected pins. Here also 8 pin and null connected pin or not connected pin. What is the difference between 8 pin mini DLP and 8 pin metal tin can? Means this is represented in a rectangular type or square type. This is represented in a metal can of circular type. Okay, circular construction, and this is somewhat of rectangular or some type of square type construction. Okay, so that is the difference. The entire pin structure, entire numbering of the pin structure, entire operation is same. Okay, so coming to the next application is a 14 pin dual line package. That means here we have total 14 pins. 14 pins. See, with respect to the invert, we will start always in an explanation of packages. Either it is a mini dual package, or it is a flat package, or it is a metal can package, or it is an 14 pin package, always we will explain with the input terminals, that is inverting terminal and non-inverting terminal. Here 4 and 5 are inverting non-inverting terminals, 4 and 5, and 6th pin and 11th pin. 6th pin and 11th pin. See, 6th pin and 11th pin is about the discussion of 6th pin and 11th pin. We will discuss about inverting and 6th pin and 11th pin we will discuss about biased voltages. 6th pin and 11th pin we will discuss about biased voltage, and 10th pin is nothing but output voltage. 10th pin is our output voltage, where we can see V0 from the 10th pin. Okay, next the discussion is offset nulls. Offset nulls. So 9th pin and 3rd pin is nothing but offset null. 9th pin and 3rd pin is offset null. So remaining pins like pin 8, pin 7, pin 8, pin 1, pin 2, pin 14, pin 13, pin 12. These are all null connection pins or not connected pins. Null connected pins or not connected pins. Okay, so this is about pin configuration. So if we go to the next discussion, that is power supply ratings. Power supply rating. So this is the maximum rating of the operational amplifier. So this is the supply voltage, that is around plus or minus 18 volts polarity, and internal power dissipation, internal power loss. So this is the thing, the power dissipation or power loss in an operational amplifier is very, very less. That is 500 milliwatts. It's very, very less. And the differential input voltage is plus or minus 30 volts. Differential input voltage VID. VID is nothing but differential input voltage, that is plus or minus 30 volts. VID is taken from both inverting input terminal, non-inverting input terminal, and input voltage to the inverting and non-inverting terminals is plus or minus 15 volts. Okay, and offset null, that is plus or minus offset voltages. Okay, here we have offset null, that is around plus or minus 0.5 volts. And operating temperature. So we can operate the integrated circuit operational amplifier IC741, whatever it may be the package, that we can operate from 0 degrees to 70 degrees plus 70 degrees centigrade, and we are having a strong temperature range. It can sustain a strong temperature range from minus 65 degrees Celsius to 150 degrees Celsius. It is when compared to other family integrated circuits, IC741 operational amplifier is having very good, and it is having very strong temperature ranges, and the lead temperature, it is around 300 degrees Celsius, and the output output short circuit, it is indefinite or it is infinite. So this is about power supply ratings. So here we concluded our discussion today. So if you have any doubts, just post them in the chat box. Just post them in the chat box, or we can go through. Someone posted a question. Sir, what is the difference between external compensation and internal compensation with circuit difference? What is the circuit construction difference? That is a question. Someone posted a query. See, here we have two compensations, that is frequency compensation and frequency compensation. We have two compensation techniques, that is dominant pole external compensation and internal compensation. Okay, see here in the schematic circuit, we compensated the frequency by connecting an RC pole pair. Okay, here the RC pole pair is connected with respect to output terminal externally. When we see the pole 0 also, what actually happened? When we see the pole 0 technique also, we connected the RC pole pair externally with respect to output. But compared to internal circuit, internal compensation or Miller compensation, we connected the feedback. Sorry, we connected the capacitor, compensating capacitor. We call that compensating capacitor or negative feedback capacitor. Mostly we call that as a compensating capacitor or feedback capacitor or negative feedback capacitor, C suffix F, in an internal manner. That means here the capacitor is connected internally, but there the compensating circuit is connected in an external manner. That is one difference. That means, and another discussion is the compensation is done in an external basis in dominant pole and pole 0 pair, but here we do in an internal basis. Okay, that's it. That is the discussion. And another doubt, what is the purpose of null connected pins, sir? Right, we are having several null pins in 10 line package and 14 line package, right, correct. Okay, we are having several pins in null connection, sir. What is the purpose of null connection? Okay, manufacturer, what is in manufacturer level, what is the purpose of null connection means they will test the integrated circuit IC at a various temperatures and at particular various operating voltages. At that condition, they used null connections for standby mode. For standby modes, they are using null connection. That's why we have several NC pins, null connected pins or non-connected pins in 10 line package and 14 pin packages. Then that means most of the times they use these null connected pins or not connected pins for standby operating condition. Standby operating condition at a particular stage. We have another thing. What is the purpose of offset null pins? Offset null, the main purpose of offset null is to apply offset voltages. That means we had our discussion in the pin diagram. Okay, when there is an internal disturbance in the operation of operational amplifier, we will give the output voltage. Offset null output voltage range is around 0.5 volts, 0.5 millivolts, which is very, very limited. Offset null voltage, if we give the offset null voltage to the operational amplifier, the disturbance, internal disturbance which is created is eliminated. Okay, with the help of the offset null, we will provide an additional voltage which can we give directly to the internal circuit of the operational amplifier to eliminate the internal disturbances and to eliminate the internal distortions. Okay, right. Someone posted an additional doubt. In the discussion of DC characteristics, we discussed about input bias currents. Okay, what will happen? What is it? What is the behavior of input bias currents? That is the discussion, right? With the input bias currents only, we are having this output offset voltages, and all other voltage errors are caused with respect to input biasing currents. That means even there is no input at the inverting and non-inverting terminals, the input biasing currents is creating certain amount of voltage, 500 milliamperes around. I think 500 milliamperes, which milliamperes current is helping us to create a severe voltage error. If the operational amplifier is high gain operational amplifier, the output error is eliminated. But at low frequency applications, the error is very, very severe. That means input bias currents will affect the output of the operational amplifier. That is eliminated with our discussion. Okay, we used various compensation techniques, right? We connected a feedback resistance, we connected to improve the gain, and we connected the compensation resistance in the DC characteristics compensation. Okay, so we have to eliminate the input bias currents to improve the behavior of error. That means we have to limit the error, and we have to increase the efficiency of the operational amplifier. We have to increase the gain, right? Okay, someone posted another doubt. Can we compensate the frequencies for higher order frequencies and lower order frequencies? Okay, what is the example for compensation of higher frequencies? External compensation technique. See, in external compensation technique, there is an application of broad range of frequencies. Here also we said the bandwidth is drastically reduced here. That is the drawback. Why that is drawback means external compensation techniques is having a high bandwidth condition. That means we can compensate high frequency responses with the help of external compensation techniques. But when compared to internal compensation techniques, we can compensate the frequency response for low frequencies, lower order frequency ranges, right? Okay, if you have any doubt, just post in the chat box. Right, no one, right. So this is our discussion today. Like, thank you one and all. Thank you for your cooperation. So next class we will start inverting and non-inverting amplifiers. So if you have any other doubts, you can post. You can DM to my WhatsApp number, or you can call me. Thank you one and all.